Giving a thoughtful response is super important when you run a business. I mean, it's important for anyone, but when you run a business and there's marketing, talking to potential clients, talking to current clients, talking to employees, there are so many chances for miscommunication that may happen simply due to the weak thinking skill of giving a thoughtful response. Hey there, I'm SD Rappaport. If you're new here, I'm a brain engineer for entrepreneurs where I help you improve your 28 thinking skills so running your business is a whole lot easier and you save a lot more time, a lot more money, and it makes life a lot less stressful. So today we're talking about the thinking skill of giving a thoughtful response. Now, here's the thing. Thinking is split into three thinking phases. We have the first phase, input, where we take in information. The second phase, elaboration, where we process it. And the third phase, the output phase, where we tell the world we know what we know. So I'm going to give you a challenge for a second. Giving a thoughtful response, you think is in the input phase, the elaboration phase, or the output phase? Well, if you said output phase, you are correct, right? It's literally when you are telling the world you know what you know in a clear, thoughtful response. Now, when we want to work on a cognitive function, you always want to make sure the cognitive functions, the thinking skills in the previous phases are strong before you work on the ones in the next phase. Because if you're not having good information in, if your cognitive functions in the input phase aren't strong, then you're most definitely not having good information out, right? Weak information in, weak information out. So until your cognitive functions in your input phase are strong, you're not going to have good thinking skills and good information to be able to process in your elaboration phase, and you won't have good information when you tell the world you know what you know. So many times people struggle with giving a thoughtful response, not really because they struggle with giving a thoughtful response. What they struggle with more is a different cognitive function. So the information they're taking in or the information they're processing is not amazing. So that way, when they explain what they know, then it's not going to be amazing. Right? So you always want to make sure your previous cognitive functions are strong, especially when it comes to giving a thoughtful response. So if you are struggling with this, I'm going to strongly suggest that you watch a video that I'm going to link right below that goes through the 28 cognitive functions, and you are going to see if there's any of the other cognitive functions that you need to improve on first. If yes, then find videos linked to that and work on those videos. If you have any questions or you can't find it, leave a comment and I'll be happy to help you figure that out. Because before you improve a thoughtful response, you have to make sure you're having cognitive functions in. Like, I'll give you a personal example. Okay. For a long time, I was working on this cognitive function. And recently, I've been speaking a lot about the cognitive function of labeling. I recently did a video on Alex Hormozi, and I think that is one of the reasons why he is super successful. Not obviously, there's a lot of other reasons, but like in content creation specifically, his use of clear labels, of good labels, really helps people be able to understand him. So that's why he is able to give a thoughtful response, right? Now, I'm not saying my labeling was bad before, but it wasn't like amazing. And it most definitely wasn't on Alex Hormozi's level. And I was like, oh, if I want to get better at content creation, then I better make sure that my labeling is way better than it currently is. So I went back, and currently that is actually the cognitive function that I'm working on, labeling. And guess what? Automatically giving a thoughtful response is also becoming better. Even though I was already pretty good at it, and even though I've already worked on giving a thoughtful response, because I'm getting even better information in through labeling, which is in the input phase, by the way, in the first phase, then most definitely I'm getting better at giving a thoughtful response. Okay, so in case you need a reminder, don't stress about this one until you make sure, don't stress about this one ever, but don't stress this one was definitely, and don't work on this one until you work on your previous cognitive functions. Now, let's say you say like, okay, I think my other cognitive functions are pretty good. Obviously, you could always be improving all of them, but I think they're pretty good and they're in a good place. And I really need to work on giving a thoughtful response. So here's what you're going to do. First of all, you're going to figure out where you're struggling with giving a thoughtful response, because you may be really good at giving a thoughtful response verbally, but struggle with it written, right? Or you might struggle with it when you have to like give presentations and like, on a slideshow and it has to not have tons of information, but you still have to explain it really well. You need to figure out which medium you are struggling in. You might be vice versa. You might be really good at doing the written, but you struggle when it comes to talking, right? So figure out that medium that you are struggling with, and it may be multiple. That's totally okay. And then what you are going to do is in a non-pressurizing way. So whether that's a conversation with a friend, whether that's an email that you send out to, not your broadcast email that you're sending out to your entire email list, but to like one person, maybe to an employee. So like they've seen tons of it and it's like super chill. Then you are going to take the extra time to simply give a thoughtful response. You want to take the time to think. And you want to think how you are going to express this in a way that other people can understand this in the best way possible. It's literally putting focus on it. In the beginning, it is going to take you a little bit more time to communicate. Beginning, it is going to take you a little bit more time to write what you want to write or do what you want to do. But by being conscious of the fact that you want to express this in a clear and cohesive manner, you are going to create new neural connections in your brain, and it will be a whole lot easier for you to be able to do this naturally. Eventually, you'll see like, hey, like, I don't have to think about this. This is just happening by myself. Now, if you have someone that you can do this with, so whether that's a partner, whether that's a child, an employee, or someone, where you're like, okay, every time we have this meeting, we are going to focus on giving a thoughtful response. So it's okay, like we're not rushing anyone in this meeting. Anytime we do like our weekly roundup meetings or whatever, we are going to take an extra minute to give a thoughtful response. So because everyone is working on it together, it always helps and it always makes that process go a lot faster. And you see other people working on it and they can give you feedback and it just makes it a lot more fun. So if you can set up a time where you can do this continuously, if not, you could do it just like grab a friend and do it on the phone or do it in a time in a way that works best for you. Well, like I said, sometimes it's just like on a slideshow and it's not with another person. So just do it by yourself. But you can figure out a way to be able to do it. I believe in you. Okay. So you are going to work on your giving a thoughtful response only if your other cognitive functions are strong. So if not, instead of doing what I just said, of taking the time of doing it in a non-pressurizing way, you are going to watch a video below that talks about the 28 cognitive functions and figure out which cognitive function you need to improve, or better yet, just take the cognitive function assessment, which is going to be like linked right below. And in like 10 minutes or less, you're going to be able to know exactly where each one of your 28 cognitive functions are. That's it for today. Have an awesome rest of your day, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye for now.